it's Sue Stockdale, and welcome to our Series 7 preview. You know, inspiration is like a magical gift that's within all of us. It's free energy that we can give to others when we share our experiences, our insights, and what we have learned about life. Clive Steeper and I created this podcast with this idea in mind, so that you, the listener, can be inspired by people who may be unlike you, whether it's talking to an astronaut in America or a refugee that's been on the run. Their stories have the power to shape, strengthen, or challenge our values and views. We hope each episode ignites new possibilities within you, makes you think, what if? What next? Or maybe just why? Our podcast has a social mission to create positive impact through conversation. And having published almost 50 episodes now, we want to be able to measure that impact, what our listeners and guests have done differently because of engaging with us. So we'd love to get your feedback. All you have to do is take 3 minutes to complete our short survey. And there's a link to it in the show notes, so go and have a look there. If you'd prefer to record a short voice note for us, you can do that too. You can get details on both of those things on our show notes. We can't wait to get your feedback. And so on to Series 7. The theme of this upcoming series is curiosity, and we will be featuring a variety of guests who have used curiosity to explore what's possible, which has led them to very interesting results. I'll give you a taste of what's to come. In episode 53, I will be speaking to Ronald Paredes, a Latin American graphic designer and artist, who believes that we begin our lives with lots of curiosity.
When we're in kindergarten, we are free to explore. Well, it also depends on the school and the teacher if it encourages that curiosity. But you are free to explore. But as soon as you start the school, then you have to perform in a certain period of time. We take away something that is very, very important in creativity, that is failure. You're not allowed to fail anymore. So if you're not allowed to fail, you're not allowed to explore. If you're not allowed to explore, you have no time to be curious. Our education, we don't have time to be curious. We don't have time to explore. You have to perform, and you have to perform well under scrutiny in a certain period of time. If not, you fail. And that start gradually killing your capacity of being creative.
Another guest I'll be speaking to is Thomas Andrén from Sweden. He used his curiosity to discover what his dream job could be. It led him to ask himself over 900 questions as he recalled the subjects he had learned at school.
So I stumbled over anatomy and I thought, okay, let's get 1 or 2 books out of this and start reading it and see if I remember this as well or if it does make any sense to me when I read it. So I did, and pretty much everything was very easy for me when I started reading it. I remembered names of muscles and anatomy, and I remembered physiology quite easy. So I thought, okay, interesting. So this should be something I should look into. Maybe a profession within this sector of subjects would be something, since clearly it comes easy for me. So having identified the subject, I knew that this would be something I would have to do for the next 10-15 years or something. So I started writing down questions to myself. I bought a notebook and I started just randomly type down questions to myself. Easy questions where you would answer yes or no a little bit every day. Sometimes in the mornings when waking up and having dreams, I would make questions out of those dreams and just write it down. Mainly in the evenings when I've had a whole day of experiences, I would note down questions about the day, completely random, until I filled the entire notebook, which was maybe 2.5, 3 months or something like this.
Well, that sounds like an epic effort from Thomas. You can find out how these questions helped him to switch career into becoming a massage therapist from the world of tech in episode 51. Also in episode 52, I'll be speaking to Jenna Howieson from Scotland, and she's going to be explaining to me how she ended up leading the global diversity and inclusion strategy for a company after asking the CEO a question, in a roundtable meeting.
I have kind of accidentally made a career for myself in this space. So yeah, when I started in that initial role as sort of an admin assistant, I had the opportunity randomly to speak to the CEO of the company at the time about their inclusion policies. And a lot of the conversations, it was a sort of roundtable discussion, and it was pretty much all focused on gender and women in the workplace. And I kind of sheepishly put my hand up because I was very, very new to the to their office, and said, "Oh, I'm actually here to speak about LGBT inclusion, not gender inclusion." And I was wondering why there's nothing here about that, and why there's no work on that. And he kind of thought about it and sort of admitted that it wasn't that they weren't passionate about it, it just was that they'd never thought about it before. So that if I wanted to see that in the workplace, I should go ahead and create it. And so with absolutely no prior experience or knowledge on how I could possibly create an LGBT inclusive workplace, I set to work.
And to open the series, I'll be speaking to Dr. Nashater Deu Solheim, a psychologist and author whose TEDx talk, "What Working with Psychopaths Taught Me About Leadership," has been viewed over 750,000 times. Here's how her journey started.
When I was doing my clinical training, I did a specialist placement in forensic at a special hospital, they're called in the UK, which is essentially a maximum security hospital, which is housing people who have committed offences, usually very, very violent and are considered very dangerous individuals. Hence, they need maximum security environment, high walls, barbed wire, locked doors, and intensive supervision. But they're called hospitals because they also present with a mental disorder or mental illness. And I just fell in love with the whole way of using psychology to understand what brings people into these experiences. What are their stories? What are their journeys? How can we, as individual psychologists, but also as a society, perhaps even begin to think about preventing people from having these experiences where we can, so that they don't end up committing these terrible crimes and going on to creating the harm that they do, both to others and to themselves.
Nashater also explains how leaders can use curiosity.
Curiosity for me is the antidote to a lack of empathy. If you're struggling to understand somebody else's perspective, get into curious mind, listen very actively, and ask very open questions. Silence actually can be very helpful, I think, in empathy. Often we feel that the best way to show empathy is to keep talking. But listening silently and allowing the other person to speak, and then see if that curiosity opens up a different perspective.
And so I hope this preview has piqued your interest in what's to come over the next few weeks. We've also got a new partnership with iWorker, a social enterprise, who will be supporting the series. And you can hear more about them in the next episode. Remember, you can keep in touch with Access to Inspiration on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Just search for Access to Inspiration. On our website, you'll find transcriptions for all of the episodes, as well as a number of specific playlists. So just hop on over to accesstoinspiration.org and you'll find them all there. We'll look forward to connecting with you soon and receiving your feedback.